Suspect claiming sympathy with Islamic State militants, telling an FBI informant that he wanted to wage violent jihad using pipe bombs or shotguns, hundreds of rounds of ammunition that he had just purchased.
Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge in Washington. So, Catherine, what are we learning about this morning?
Well, Martha, good morning. According to this 7-page criminal complaint, 20-year-old Christopher Cornell is an example of the new digital jihad where people get sucked into ISIS or al-Qaeda by following the groups online. In this case, it's alleged that Cornell pledged his support for ISIS and then was identified by an FBI informant. The family says the informant egged on the 20-year-old and he was never capable of attacking the U.S. Capitol. But the FBI makes the case in the criminal complaint that Cornell laid the groundwork for what he believed would be violent jihad targeting the U.S. Capitol, buying weapons, researching the target, including how to make pipe bombs online. And they arrested him just as he was buying the plane ticket from Ohio to Washington, D.C. This is another case, an alleged case of homegrown terrorism, where the suspect is self-radicalized using the web. And as we've shown through our ongoing reporting here at Fox News, you see a case similar to this about every 2 to 3 weeks in this country now.
Which is amazing. I mean, it reminds me in some ways of the Boston Marathon bombers, although we know that they did travel overseas and meet with people there. But if this case amounts to, on the scale to some low-hanging fruit, essentially, for the FBI, does ISIS have recruiters outside of Iraq and Syria that could be funneled back here? We know they do, right?
An intelligence source who was recently operating in Afghanistan tells Fox News that a former Taliban commander there, Abdi Qadim, is now the point man for ISIS recruitment in Afghanistan. And it's also worth noting that Qadim is a former Guantanamo detainee. The intelligence source reports that in some areas of Helmand Province, Afghanistan, where Qadim is based, the black flag of the Taliban is now being replaced by the white flags of ISIS. A leading counterterrorism analyst says Qadim abandoned the Taliban after failing to reach a leadership position.
He basically lost out in sort of the jockeying or positioning inside the Taliban for more power. He was basically forced out of his leadership position. And over time, what happens is he gravitated and decided to basically pick up the Islamic State or ISIS's banner in Afghanistan. This is significant because this is a guy who has senior capabilities. He has operational planning abilities. This is a guy who's a very experienced veteran in the jihad.
And another former Guantanamo detainee has pledged his allegiance to the emir of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Muslim Dost was released from Guantanamo under President Bush in April of 2005, Martha.
Fascinating story about that recruiter changing his allegiances. Catherine, thank you very much.
You're welcome.